I'm asking you, is
All
it a
right.
characteristic of God?
Yeah.
Okay. You could have just said yes. You know what I mean? Like you're so ridiculous. Okay? If you're saying that logic is a characteristic of God, and you're also saying that what's it called? We'll start with that. You're saying logic is a characteristic of God, morality is a characteristic of God. Then do you think it's a characteristic that can exist independently of God?
No.
What's the argument for that?
Yeah, all terms that aren't God are just going to be defined in such a way that wouldn't allow for it. So it's just going to be analytically
So
true.
you're just saying all things are defined in a way in which would logically make it impossible. So what's the argument for that?
Wait, what's the argument for a definition?
Okay, you're trolling me.
Yeah, you understand definition.
All right, let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that set of criteria listed on the TikTok screen. What's the argument for a definition? Okay, come on. Let's go on to the next person. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. We are just looking for some debates. Get baked, bud. Yeah, you're right. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
18.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay. If the election was held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Probably Harris.
Okay. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the screen. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
We are charged.
Was that Liv? I'm not sure. Let's go to the next individual. Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, 26.
Do you support Trump?
Of course I do.
Okay, if the election was held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Donald Trump, all the way.
Okay. Alrighty,
No
alrighty.
hesitation whatsoever.
Alrighty, are you driving?
I am, yeah, absolutely.
You have to come on when you're not driving. It's TikTok TOS. TikTok TOS, just come on when you're not driving and we can have our conversation. Yo, what's up? How old are you? How old are you?
27,
Do you support Trump?
all the way.
Okay, if the election was held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Donald Trump,
Okay, and what's your birth year?
98.
Okay, if the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, you said you'd vote for Trump. Let me answer, thank a few people, and then we can go on to our conversation. Kathy, by the way, thank you for the 10 membership subscriptions. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you very much. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for the $50 on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, he was advocating for control, but I think he was just trolling, actually. Because he literally asked me what the argument was for a definition. That was an insane thing to do. Jose, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $28 on Venmo. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. They're pretty diabolical, aren't they, though? Alrighty, let's go into the debates, everyone. If you want to support me, as always, Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio, as well as the description of the YouTube. So you can support me over YouTube Super Chat. Plus, everyone, if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. Alrighty, why do you support Donald Trump?
Just really quick, people were saying I'm not 27. My birthday is in June, so I'll be 28 in June. So 98 is 27.
Okay.
The reason why I voted for Trump really is because he got Charlie Kirk killed.
Okay, you're trolling. Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the TikTok screen. We're just looking for some debates. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed on the TikTok screen. We're just looking for some debates. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed on the TikTok screen. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
37.
Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Election on today, Harris versus Trump. Who would you rather vote for?
Trump.
Why do you support Trump?
Well, just for the mere fact that because of what he's doing at the global level, it is exposing all the corrupt, not just within our country, but across the global markets. So we spend more money than any other country on every major scale, and he's at least exposing this. Either we get the America gets a benefit, or we downsize. So for that pure fact, it's gonna help us out long term. At least exposing who's our real ally financially and which ones are not.
I don't think whoever is just going to go along with Trump's war crimes is a real ally. I think that we had real allies across the whole world, and Trump's destroyed our relationships.
I mean, I do get that there is war crime, but there's subtle war crimes happening, and we are not even aware of that from all the major players. It comes down to the fact is, do you want America to continue being the global leaders? And if you don't, that's fine. You know,
What
there's a
does that
lot of
mean?
social. Well, the U.S. dollar is the main reason why we're the global leaders, global power. The moment
Trump's
we
actually undermining that. When he undermines our relationships with nations all around the world, he undermines what allows for people to continue using the US dollar within those transactions. Because whenever he delegitimizes the United States and destroys our relationships with other nations, it lowers demand on the US dollar.
Right. Well, he's trying to create that divide, and he's trying to make it more of a. He's trying to bring it front and center because right now it's being disguised as a lot of social posturing happened between China, Russia, and what's happening is they're trying to dump the dollar, and so right now he's trying to force everybody to make
Are
their
you talking about
hands,
the
show their
petrodollar?
hands.
Like that they're not using it for oil transactions anymore? That's to a lesser extent because of Trump.
Right,
Because the
but
reason why
that's
that's holding up people doing so is out of habits. Literally. So if you destabilize our relationships with the countries in those regions, that gets rid of the habit because then they don't want to continue to engage with that. And it creates less of that habit continually, which then devalues the US dollar through the
well, it's still
domino effect.
and I agree with that, right? But that's what's being that's the obvious route. The more subtle route is what China and Russia they're playing this game where they're forcing people to trade in gold currency, and that's where all angles are pushing. That's why the gold has skyrocketed. Everybody is trying to figure out how to devalue currency because the name of the game is you make your currency cheap enough. Then everybody wants to go shopping at your country, or they want to do trade
That makes no
negotiations.
sense.
Well, I mean, what's the whole
Don't
purpose
you
of
want
even
your currency to be more valuable?
you do, and that's what the U.S. has done. However, China, look at China; they're the exporter of the country. However, they're not becoming they're now that they are now pushing their global dominance, and they're trying to make a push to be the world leaders when it comes to well everything. Right now, they're coming across as the social negotiators, if you will. They have enough military power to actually enforce their will, but they're choosing to become to do more of the social route just so they could kind of position themselves as the global leaders. They don't want to be an aggressor because then no one would trust them. And so that's what they're doing. It's all about the power, and that's what Trump is at least exposing at this point. Everything else aside is just to make himself look crazy, so people could take him serious.
So do you think that Trump increases our soft power?
I'm sorry, it increases our what?
Soft power?
What do you mean by soft
Like
power?
ideologically speaking?
Well, that's pretty much the debate there, right? Are you willing to stay? S- Are you willing to give up being a global leader to be more socially correct? Or there's two struggles here, right? We
What do you
can
mean by world leader? Do you mean like
well,
do you mean like
mm,
militarily?
yeah, military, but
Because I
not
think we
just
can still have the
militarily,
largest military in the world, but it shouldn't be the case that we're the police of the world.
right?
We
So
shouldn't be
that's where
spending so much on our military. We should be spending that on people here at home, right? In terms of
yeah, but
infrastructure, healthcare access, education access, childcare.
and I agree with that. You do need to support the at home base. However, then that if you fundamentally think we should pull back from them as a global leader in terms of aiding and kind of controlling who has power, who doesn't have power, there are ramifications that will stem from that. There's going to be certain things that we just will be left out of, and eventually it will affect the U.S. because we're not
In what
a
way?
nation of
Can you give me
producers.
an example?
So, for example, if they kick us out, a lot of it just not just oil based stuff, but when it comes to
So let's build renewable energy in this country.
building new road, well, you can, and
And
we still
let's
have
build
oil.
nuclear power in this country. Why do we need this dependence on foreign oil? I don't like it. I think it's important that we have critical industries here in the United States able to be produced here. And I think that's a necessary element of it, especially because we want to be the leading in technology for the future, reduce energy costs below what you could possibly do with oil, which will then inevitably lead to more economic benefit and growth in the long run. That's how you continue to be the number one, is by investing in technological advancement.
Right. From
Instead
our
of investing
standpoint,
so much into war, why don't we invest into technological advancement? Because not only does it just benefit us, it benefits the entirety of society.
those who already have power will agree with you in terms of countries, but there's a lot of
It's
countries
not just those who
contributing.
are already in power. This is everyone should agree with this because technology actually economically reduces costs, makes things cheaper. It
Right, for the
increases
nations who
productive
are in
capacity.
position. Right, for the nations already in position. But what about the nation of, let's say, for example, Africa, India? They have all the resources, however, they don't have the infrastructure yet. So those are going to be the nations that are going to be wanting a posture for the future. And then we're talking about 30, 50 years from
I
now.
mean, technology
Those
allows for people to build up infrastructure to a greater extent. That's just a fact.
no,
And
no,
also, like, there already is
agree.
existing infrastructure in Africa. Africa, the continent, by the way, it's not a nation.
Well, right. Yeah, agree. It's a bunch of, as many of nations coming together, and
Yeah.
that's the difficult thing with Africa currently. But China is the most closest to be the world leader, and if we are okay with that, if you're okay with that, then yeah, I would say just
I just
back
don't know
off.
what you mean by world leader because I want to be the world leader in science and technology
Well,
and the world leader in those particular types of advancements. Do I want to be the world leader in like killing as many people as possible? No, I don't want to be the
well,
world leader in that.
no, you don't.
Do I want to be the world leader in like making conditions worse off for people? No, I don't want to be that. I want to be the world leader in healthcare access. I want to be the world leader in specifically in things that actually like are helpful towards people.
And that very well may be the reason, but the case is China was involved in Panama. China is involved all over South America. China is involved in Iran. All the things we're doing right now is a subtle thing to combat China. It and which is they're the closest one to becoming the world leader. Every
Do you think Trump, when he
conflict.
threatens to annex those areas, is going to better the relations with those areas?
No, and unfortunately, that's the byproduct of it.
Do you think Trump's good at
But
negotiation? I think that often his posturing actually like decreases our ability to negotiate. And actually, we have hearings or we have things that have been said by the Trump administration officials that he's undermined negotiations.
and very well, that may be the issue of him doing his tactics. We may not agree with his tactics, but the reason why he's doing this is to is to show the true players, their hands. All these big companies, countries, and whatnot, they are forced to show their hands whether they want to go against Trump or if they want to kind of step aside from our European allies to our more aggressive Russian and Chinese counterparts. Those are the ones showing their hands right now. Russia's benefit greatly with this whole issue in Iran. China is the one that's kind of have to force to either they go against the U.S. in a more public forum, or if they step back and kind of play the side politics of continuing and send military aid to Iran, which is currently happening. But now they're going to be, if we show that we're going to stay with our black blockade versus Iran's blockade, it will affect China, and then that's going to be further escalation. Granted, it will be more detriment to the world stabilization and global markets. However, all Trump is trying to do is get all the players to expose their hands. Just show me your hands, and that's what he's trying to do.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. But like you're trying to say like he's trying to get everyone to show their intentions. Okay. I don't see this doing that to a greater extent. I don't see how he's putting us ahead in any meaningful way. I think what he's doing is restricting our ability in actually staying number one in all the ways in which are meaningful. Okay, this isn't like a video game. I'm trying to like build up critical industries that are relevant towards right our ability to live, right? And these are important things, and they're a lot more important than posturing, like Trump. And Trump is a
And
lot of posturing, not a lot of actual legitimate benefit to the nation.
and I
Like
would agree
actual,
with
like
that.
name the material benefits to our country.
Well, keeping the dollar materially, our dollar would stay in control.
Inflation is higher right now than what it was when Trump got into
Well,
office, so that's
yeah,
not
and
doing
that's
very well.
something. Well, yeah, and that's he's trying to, and there's some economic, there's some things of our understanding that we may not understand. I think maybe the angle he's trying to go there, he's trying to purposely devalue our currency as well,
So he's
maybe
trying
so
to
because
purposely devalue it, but you just said that it was more valuable.
Well, to force people to buy the U.S. dollar to
That's
force more
literally
businesses back.
incoherent.
I know. I know. It's because it has to do with the U.S. Debt. It's about to be $40 trillion. So I think by him
That is an
purposely
incoherent
inflating,
way to address the debt. The
that's
a
how
way
I know.
to address the debt would be like increasing immigration. Immigration over the past 30 years has decreased the debt by $14.5 trillion, according to the Cato Institute.
Yeah, but that's not enough to do at the rate we're going. That's not enough. So I think he's trying to
It quite
eventually.
actually is.
Well,
Right?
I
It
mean,
is enough to be able to build up tax revenues alongside taxing the richest Americans, ensuring that they're paying their fair share, and we can actually meaningfully address the debt, right? Along with the productive capacity increases in terms of technological advances with our economy. Because as technology increases, gets better off, right? We are able to produce more as a society, right? Which actually means we can increase the money supply without seeing inflation. Because as long as there's an increase in productive capacity, the increase in demand won't cause an increase in price. But the increase in productive capacity would have to meet the increase in demand.
and that has worked in the past, but a lot of countries are already at this level of building. So it's like when we're all global, we're all partnership with all the global leaders. It's very difficult for us to kind of outpace those countries. So the way we're doing it now is, or at least the illusion is, well, let's get companies, let's get manufacturing back. The way we do that is we devalue the U.S. dollar, and I think because the U.S. Debt is so high at this point, they need to figure out a way to figure out how to de-inflate their way out of it. But also, I think they're also going to even switch the currency to a more digital one. So
then you liked the
thinking,
inflation under Biden?
did I like it? Well, he did have his perks. There was. They were doing the best with trying to.
So you
keep
think it was
inflation
good,
down.
though?
What, that Biden was good?
That the inflation that happened under Biden?
It was a necessary evil due to the pandemic that we're coming off of it.
Yeah, okay. But you're not saying it's good in terms of saying it devalues the currency because you want a devalued currency. That's just ridiculous, okay? Obviously, we want some level of inflation because it will be good at devaluing debt, but the level of inflation that we're seeing is beyond that. Because the 2% threshold is what we want. That's actually because you are partially like getting onto a point that is relevant. That yeah, we do want to devalue our debt by the use of some level of inflation, but we don't want too much inflation, right? Otherwise, that can have other bad impacts. But a certain amount of inflation does produce that wanted impact. We're above that target rate by far, over a percentage point over that because of Trump. And want to know what the Federal Reserve just came out and said? We'd be below pre-pandemic levels in terms of inflation if Trump never imposed tariffs.
You're probably right.
No, that's what they said. Right. That's what they indicated. Everything I've been saying for a while, completely vindicated. Completely and 100% vindicated by that report by the Federal Reserve.
Do you think that we should not do anything when it comes to the global market and kind of let all these major players kind of take control, or do you think we should make a stand? I think
the way that we stand is in a meaningful way that benefits the entirety of society. Things that are beneficial to technology and advancement and energy and science. Let's focus again. Let's fucking focus on that instead of focusing so much on war. Of course, I want to act defensively. Like if someone attacks our nation or is going to attack our nation, we will respond. But this whole offensive bullshit, police of the world shit is holding us back from actually our true potential.
And I agree with you. Everything you're saying, ideologically, I agree. However, they're doing it in a more subtle way that you and I, the regular citizen, we're not privy to this. All you know is, okay, Panama Canal, why is China there? Why is China in every major port or major section that we need to be in the world? And unfortunately, what they do is they go in there, buy everything, and phase us out. And by in turns, moving us out of that region. The moment we move out the region, they're playing a game of chess against us. And that's what Trump verbally says one thing, and I do get the fact that he's saying one thing and he's doing another. And the whole point of that is to create a illusion of being erratic. So then these other world leaders can maybe take a step back and kind of question, do they really want to go this route with America? Who currently
this whole argument of China's going to own supply chains, you already argue they do. Like the right already argues that China controls most major global supply chains. The issue is that we demand their goods and services. Okay, so true. If they decide to produce things and they want to cut us off from buying those products, we can inevitably buy them from someone else. Who's going to buy their overproduced products then?
Well,
No one. Their economy completely stops functioning.
rely on us.
Okay, they rely on us in the same way that we rely on them. But there is actually a metric in the economy that would allow for us to be able to move on, that wouldn't allow for them to move on in the same function.
Which metric?
The fact that we are the ones demanding the products.
But in order for us to move on completely, we have to build infrastructure in another country or countries to offset.
And so then that would inevitably be the very thing that you guys would acknowledge would cause an increase in manufacturing. But there are plenty of other places that could produce products to a similar extent that we'd be able to. Obviously, it'd cause an increase in prices in a situation like that. But inevitably speaking, we'd be able to respond to it, right?
Yeah.
And I also don't think that they would be incentivized in doing that in the very first place, because how does that benefit them?
Well, it benefit them from. Well, that is a good point. There is a lot of give and take that you have to take with them. But it all comes down whether do we want to compete at the global scale? And as of right
so
now,
then let's develop technology that they need from us, so that they have to work with us in order to be able to get this amazing technology.
When you say let's produce, no one is producing these amazing technology in the U.S. because it's
we are.
Entries. Well,
And the thing is, if we're not doing that, then let's do it to a greater extent. These are certain critical industries that should be produced in the United States. These are specialized, very helpful industries.
How are we incentivizing these industries to do that in America when every company that want to innovate, they offshore completely off to other countries? So the way to do that is to reduce taxes. So
we vastly increased manufacturing development within this country under the Biden-Harris administration. Did you know that? There was a massive increases in domestic manufacturing investment, to which we haven't seen in decades.
I did not know that. But when it comes to the Silicon Valley, is that what you're referring to specifically?
No, I'm referencing overall domestic manufacturing investment. Right? Trump claims he's bringing up all this manufacturing back to this country and manufacturing investment to this country. That's false. Manufacturing investment has declined every single quarter of Trump's administration so far, after massive growth under the Biden-Harris administration.
I need to look into that. That was something I was not aware of in relation to Trump. Okay.
Yeah, do you want me to show you on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty, I got you.
And a lot of it, by the way, I agree with the ideal. A lot of ideals that you have already mentioned is just. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Oh yeah.
1 second. So this is, you can see, it's real private fixed investment, non-residential structures manufacturing. Here's the graph, and I'll show you the times. Don't worry. So here is when Trump first gets in office, under his first term. This is when he leaves office. This is when Biden gets in office. This is when Biden leaves office. And this is Trump.
And there's no lag, right?
No.
Okay.
Like right here is Trump. Do you see?
Yeah. Yep.
See 2025? That's all of 2025. It's even declining at a higher rate post quarter two.
Man. That's a good point, and it goes a lot of counterintuitive what is being out there in the media currently. Or
because like he says, I'm bringing back manufacturing because of tariffs. But the reason why that's not happening is because the tariffs actually imposed a greater cost of manufacturing within the country, and there wasn't much certainty that they would stay in place in the long run, which happened with the tariffs being deemed to be unconstitutional. So what happened? It led to an increase in the prices. But it didn't really seem like that to many people because inflation stayed around the same amount. Yep. But what actually we understood about that was that actually it stayed at the same amount because of Trump's tariff policy, and that it would have gone down to pre-pandemic levels if that was the case. And you know what that would have meant? That would have meant reductions in interest rates. That would have meant it would be more affordable for people to buy a house because we'd actually be able to bring down those rates because inflation would be a lot lower.
So with all this obvious depletion of Trump is intentionally kind of, it looks like he is bringing down the and you would admit he is kind of whittling away the economic power of America. Is that something that you would say? Yes, he is.
He's making it worse off. Absolutely.
Right. So what if you were to put a hat on? Hey, let me make an argument against that. what do you think is the argument for him doing this and him still being sane? Would that be
There
because
is
it's
literally
almost
none.
well? Would that
I'm sorry. Like at this point, right? We're literally just coddling delusion.
Well, what if
I'm not joking with you. That's what it
No,
feels
I
like
hear
on
you.
my behalf. Is like I'm just like coddling people's delusions because like it's literally insane shit, batshit crazy shit all the time. Okay, this is not normal politics. Like if
Right,
this
no.
happened, if a typical week happened for another Republican candidate, it would have been a PR nightmare and disaster. But it's a typical week for Trump.
What if he's purposely tanking the U.S. economy because of the debt?
I don't like coming up with all of these conspiracies on like
Because
what
that's
he's
the
going to
only-
be possibly
and
doing. Because like if we try to come up with all these conspiracies of like, oh, let's possibly try to rationalize the irrational, you're just going to come up with insane, absurd like remarks. So like that's why there are people that literally think, oh, he's doing 4D chess. Actually, it's all 4D
It's 5D
chess.
It's 5D chess.
Obviously, I'm making fun
it-
of them. I'm making fun of them
Right.
because they say 4D chess. You know that, right?
No, and part
Like
of me,
Trump called it 4D chess.
Yeah, no,
And actually, once he's called it 3D chess.
yeah, he has. Yeah. And listen, if you listen to what Trump say, and I'm only valuing what he's kind of trying to do from exposure. All this is happening. Obama was doing it more eloquently. Obviously, a lot of the policies where Iran, he did it. It's pretty much Trump would be happy if we get the same deal that he ripped apart. But when it comes to the Iran deal, but he is at least trying to expose a lot of these corruptive nature of just the global markets. So and that's my little input on that. I do appreciate the time, Parker, and I'll keep listening.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you coming up.
Yep. Bye.
Alrighty, let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the TikTok screen. We are just looking for some debates. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Adam, that's such projection in the comment section. Couldn't you like not define a... Was that the guy who can't define a chair? He couldn't tell us what a chair is? Let's go to the next individual. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Yo, Parker, hit a blinker.
So the next individual, only send a guest request if you meet that criteria in the screen. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Yo, hello.
How old are
Hello?
you?
I'm 26.
Do you support Trump?
No, no, definitely not.
Yo, what's up? How old are you? Yo, what's up? How old are you?
What's up, what's up, what's up? What's up, what's up, what's up?
They didn't realize that they were a guest on the stream. Wow. So that's what people do when I'm like I'm bringing people up all the time. That's what people do. Okay. Alrighty. That's what people do. Okay. Let's go on to the next person, everybody. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. Alrighty, let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen, everybody. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hello, I'm 20 years old.
Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Election was held today, Harris versus Trump. Who would you rather vote for?
As of right now, I'd still probably vote for Trump.
And what was your birth year?
I am November 29th, 2007.
Okay. Alrighty, I have one person to thank real quick, then we can move on to our conversation. Just give me one quick sec. Starry, thank you so much for the $50. Thank you very much. I absolutely will try to stay sane. Thank you very much. Include some W's for Starry in the comment section right now for the $50 on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Again, W's for them in the comment section right now. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, everyone. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. If you want to support me, as always, Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio, as well as the description of YouTube. As well as you can support me over YouTube Super Chat, as always. You said you're how old again?
I'm 20 years. Well, I'm 19. I'm turning 20. I tell people I'm 20 to round up, but I'm November 29th, 2007.
You're rounding up 6 months prior?
Yes, I am. I'm here for.
It's actually more than 6 months. Holy shit, dude. That's a crazy thing to do. That is a crazy roundup. Holy shit, dude. You round up by more than half a year? He's literally not even 19 and a half yet. Not even 19 and a half yet. Marina, by the way, thank you so much for the $2. I wasn't ignoring it. I haven't got to PayPal yet because that person wasn't actually old enough. They said that wasn't Liv. I thought maybe it was. It was you, but Liv is your friend. That's funny. Why does it sound like it sounded like Liv? I'm sorry. Yo, so how old are you? You guys sound similar.
18.
Do you support Trump?
Yep.
What's your birth year?
2007.
And what month?
November.
You have the same birthday as the last guest said they had?
17th.
Okay. Alrighty, and what time is it?
5:51.
Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that's the criteria on the screen. Yosef, how old are you? Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. All right, everyone. If you're on YouTube again, hit that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. We'll get someone up here very, very soon. It does seem like Trump supporters are scared to come up after they just took an absolute huge L in Virginia. Again, can we get a round of applause in the chat for Virginia and the redistricting efforts? We fucking love that. We love that. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Republicans in MAGA generally were so mad. I looked over Twitter last night and I was looking at the crash outs. They were fucking fantastic. Oh my god. Oh, I love them, dude. It just scrolling through. I'll never see me happy scrolling through Twitter, but I was actually legitimately scrolling through all of them so angry, and it genuinely made me so happy. It was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. They were so mad. Like, this is what you guys get. We sat back and fucking did nothing for how long, and then we do something, and now they say it's the end of the world. What happened to doing that with Texas? Absolutely radio silence after Texas, okay? When they did it in Texas. We do it in California and do it in Virginia, and they're fucking crying. Yeah, we won. You're mad, bro. Get cooked, okay? How about you advocate on your side to actually ban gerrymandering now? Can you all stand up and actually advocate for it? Because we've been pushing for it for how fucking long now? Genuinely, where are the Republicans advocating for it? Maybe if we keep pushing for it, maybe then they'll start pushing for it more. Maybe we can use this as momentum to get them to do it. I think that's a great idea. And also, I like how they're asking for the vote beforehand. They're literally voting. All right, let's go into the next individual next individual real quick, everybody. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. We're just looking for Trump supporters and looking for debates. Yotsup, how old are you?
Hi.
How old are you?
I must say I am 40.
Do you support Trump?
1986 I was born. The first period of Donald Trump, yes, he was not bad, I must say, yes.
But you don't support him anymore?
There were no wars, etc. But the second one is not really good. That's right.
Okay. Alrighty, I am just looking for some debates. So people who specifically do still support Donald Trump. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed on the TikTok screen. Yotsup, how old are you?
23.
Do you support Trump?
Yes.
If the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Wait, are you all right?
Yeah. Why?
I can have Dean come clap your cheeks if you're not okay.
Okay, this is just a troll. Let's go to the next individual. CT, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go on to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that set of criteria listed in the TikTok screen. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Okay. Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Okay. Let's get this next individual up here. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
25.
Do you support Trump?
No.
Okay. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. Only send a guest request if you do meet that criteria that's listed on the TikTok screen. If you're 18 plus and you are still a Trump supporter, we are just looking for people who are still Trump supporters and above the age of 18. Alrighty, let's get this next person up here. Yo, how old are you?
31.
Do you support Trump?
No, but I want advice on how to.
Yo, how old are you? Hello? Okay, let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the TikTok screen. We're just looking for some debates, everybody. Alrighty, let's get this next person up here. Yo, how old are you? Alright, let's go to the next individual, everyone. We don't really have any guest requests. I think Trump supporters are scared. I think they're terrified after Virginia. They're terrified. They're scared to debate me. Yo, how old are you?
Yo, I'm 18.
Do you support Trump?
Kind of. Not 100%, but kind
Like
of,
if the
yeah.
election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Probably Trump, but it's hard to say. He's
Okay.
kind of flip-flopping too much.
Well, I have a
feel
question.
like
What state do you live in?
I live in Maine.
Okay. What time is it?
It's 11.
Nope. Let's go in the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the TikTok screen. Yo, how old are you?
24.
Do you support Trump?
Yes and no.
Okay. If the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Trump.
Okay. And what's your birth year?
My birth year? April.
What year?
Oh, 2002. 2002.
And you said you're how old?
24.
Okay. And why do you support Trump?
So majority of the stuff, like, I don't support on what he's like doing, but more to say, like, I if Kamala or Trump ever ran, but I would vote for Trump.
Why?
That saying, the only reason why is, from my point of view, I know a lot of other people's beliefs don't believe in what I believe, but I just feel like going to war, that is the only thing I would vote for him. Other things like that, I just feel like the other person.
You want him to go to war?
No, I wouldn't want him to go to war, but like say
Okay, so he did go to war. So then why do you still support him?
There's a reason why. There has to be a reason. Say that one more time.
Such as? What's the reason?
Well, this war, I'm not gonna lie. Israel pulled us into it.
So why do you support Trump even though he sent us to war on behalf of the state of Israel?
You got a point. You do got a point, but it's hard to explain. It's basically like the only reason why I would vote for Trump is yes, we're in a war right now, but like if anything like broke out, I just feel like he would know what to do in a type of situation like that. Like,
wouldn't it be more likely to break out because of him? Case in point.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you don't support Trump anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's go to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria listed in the TikTok screen. MAGA's dwindling, everybody. Look at that. Look at that. They're so scared. They're hiding into their little caves, actually, now. Let's go on to the next individual. Only send a guest request if you meet that criteria on the screen. Yo, what's appelled to you?
19.
Do you support Trump?
Of course I do.
Okay, if the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Donald John Trump,
And what's your birth year?
2006.
And what month?
July.
Okay, and why do you support Donald Trump?
1 second here. Mostly because I am against the whole LGBTQIA agenda. I got multiple studies here against trans people. Have you heard of the Swedish study?
You need a bit more specific than that.
All right, let me see. It shows that. I'm scrolling down here. Aha. The trans women who are in prison are 60% likely to be convicted of sex offense.
You said 60%
Another study
more
here.
likely?
No, 60% of the trans women in prison are sex offenders.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
supposed to be like a... What's the point of this stat? And also, what evidence do you have that it's actually applicable? What's the title name? Wouldn't that